So hello and welcome to yet another video of mine, and in this tutorial that we are about to watch, I intend to show you how to build a depreciation model. And this is part of a series of functions used in Microsoft Excel. And in this video, I'm going to be using 7 functions. But some of the functions here, I've used them before, so you're going to see just another example of how it is used in financial modeling, and that's the index function, the row function, the round function, the sum function, the if function. These are functions I've used previously to show what they can do in financial models. Today, I want you to pay particular attention to the sum product and the main function and how we would use them to come about a depreciation model. So here I have years, and I have Capex, that's for capital expenditure. And I've categorized my capital expenditure category 1, category 2, and the category is based on their useful life. So when building a depreciation model, it helps to categorize all the expense based on their useful life and then sum them together and then identify the year in which the spend rather would be carried out. So that is what I've done here. So for each of the category, we come out with a depreciation schedule that helps us to determine what value we should account for as depreciation on an annual basis. This could also be on a monthly basis, and that would simply mean using straight line depreciation method. It would mean that each of these values will be divided by 12. So we go about building a schedule for each of them, the category 1 and the category 2 here. Also, we have something here, the time flag, that helps us to determine when depreciation should start and when it should end for a particular value that may have been used for Capex. So we're going to replicate something like this. May not be the same values, but I want you to watch as we go about building this model. So I'm going to go to a new sheet, and here we would quickly identify the kinds of Capex we have. Let's see, Capex category, and so I'm going to have that Capex expense. Let me just put 1, and let's copy this down and call it 2. So we're going to have its useful life, and we're going to assume 3 years, and this is 5 years. Okay, fine. It could, depending on what you want to use, you could use just any. Then we would want to maybe have some like units because the amounts we're going to be putting here are going to be currency. It could be the value of anything. It could be dollars, USD. We could have that in the US dollars like this. State. Okay. So let's just make everything that could be here to be bold. So let's go keep bold, fine. Okay, fine. So we start with the first year. Let's assume that this is 2020, and upcoming years would just be this plus 1, and then we move it as far as we can. Okay, so that's fine. And so I'm going to generate random numbers, and let's assume that we want round between. Although this is one of the functions I'm using here, I didn't include it among the 7 that we are considering in this, because on very rare occasions do we have to bring in a round between function in financial models. So, but for here, I just want to round between 300 and let's 750, and I must have made a mistake in the name. It's rand. All right, that's it. So I'm going to just copy and down also. Okay, so that's fine. So I'm going to copy all of it and paste them as values so that they are now hard-coded. So these are hard-code values here. And so we could just use a blue color for the field color just to indicate that these are hard-coded and we can change them. Yeah, so that's fine. So what this means is that we have 2 categories of Capex, and year on year we spend about this amount for new Capex and also for this, but this depreciates at 5 years and this depreciates at 3 years. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to build a schedule for each of the Capex category. So the first one will be the 1, Capex 1. So, and for this, we're going to, let's make it bold and sorry. So let's just give it a color at the bottom. Maybe we use this and then this, and there we are. So here I am going to have the years. I'm going to have the spend, that's the Capex spend. I will also want to have the useful life, life of the spend. We can also have the units. In fact, this is all what we need. The useful life, and okay, rather than have the units, let's just have the annual depreciation. So here is it. Sometimes when I model, I don't know, I like to take out the grid lines. So sometimes I think it makes it better, but you can always leave it. So here I have the years. So what I want to do is I want to bring these years and put them here. So sometimes some individuals come here, copy this, and then they paste them as, you know, like this, transpose, and then it's here this way. Well, this can also work, but the only drawback about this is that if any of these should change, assuming this becomes 2021, you see that everything here does not change. So we're trying to make it as flexible as possible, such that if this is changed, these also are changed. So 2020. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the index function here. The index function would help us to achieve that. So index, and we're going to use the array implementation here. So we're going to take this. That's what we want. We're looking at whatever may have been bought in all of these years. And then what we want to do, we're going to lock it. Now here, because I have just one row here, and I have columns here. So what I want the index function to look at is the columns. So I'm not going to have anything for row inputs. I'm just going to put a comma, leave the row number empty. So for that of the column, what I want to do is to have numbers that indicates that give me the value in column 1, column 2, column 3. So if I should have 1 here and close the bracket and hit my enter button, you can see you have this. Should this change to 2001, this is also going to change. So that makes it much more flexible. Okay, so but I need a way to do such that when I pull down, I'm not going to have 2020 here. No, I want to have each of this. So it simply means that for this, we ought to have 2 here. Now, that is not what we really want to achieve by hard coding each of those values in here, but rather we want to use a formula to do that. And that's why we talked about the row formula. You see, the row formula can help you generate serial numbers. So here, what I'm going to do, I'll use the rows, open the bracket, and I'll assume just A1 up there. So it's just going to be a helper range and to A1. So the first range here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the row identity. The row identity there is 1, so I'm going to lock it, and then with this I'll be able to generate serial numbers that will fit in there. So you can see that when I copy down, you can see I get everything down to 2029. So haven't got this. Okay, so what is the spend for each of these years? And so here you see I like to use the SUMPRODUCT function. I like to use the SUMPRODUCT function, but this time I'm using the SUMPRODUCT function as a lookup function. So what I do is I take the SUMPRODUCT function, since we're doing for Capex category 1, I'll select these values. These are the values I want it to return, so I want to select it first. I could have selected the years first, but I'll show you why it's always best practice for you to select the values that you wish to return first. So I select these values that I wish to return. I'm going to lock them. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to close this bracket in there, the multiplication sign. I open another bracket, and this time I'm going to select the years, which will form the basis for our lookup. So I'm going to lock that too, because I always wanted to look at this place. So I lock it. But what I do inside, before I put a closing bracket, I put an equal to sign, and then I reference the year here. Now, what I'm trying to do is that I'm checking all across this range here, which of them agrees with 2020. And if it finds that which agrees with 2020, it's going to bring the value that is 2020 in here. So what I'm saying is this. So you can see that 741, and I have 741 here. So why did I say we should always select the values or the range that we want values to be returned from? Because if we do a control bracket, that square bracket, it selects the range where we are picking values from. So that's what you have here. So it does select that. And this time it's selecting all of the range that is used here. But yet another thing we would want to appreciate about the sum products here is that I want to hit F9 here. And what do you notice? You notice that we have the Capex spend here. We have all the values here: 741, 744, 647, and continuously up to the last one. Now, let's go and do same to what we have here. I'm going to hit F9 too. So here it's F9. Notice that you have the first one true, and for all others, we have false. So what it means is that it tests if 2020 is equal to all of these numbers. Where does it have the same value? So it finds it in 741 and it puts true there. And in Excel, true equates to 1. So when we multiply these array with these other array, the value that is returned is the value that is for the true. It's going to sum everything that is true. So in this case, it has only one value to sum, and so it's returning 741 for us. Please make sure that if you want to exit after using the F9 for formula audits, you hit the escape button. Do not hit enter, because that is going to hard code your formula. So we hit escape, and then that is what we have there. So what we do is just copy it down. So I'm going to select the cells, and then Control D takes us down, and this is where we are. So we've got all of these values here. So what's the useful life? We just need to reference their useful life and then lock it. That's for using dollar signs, and hit the enter button, and then we copy down. So what this means is that should this change to 4 years, I know that my depreciation model would calculate accordingly. So annual depreciation, if the useful life is 3 years, then it would be whatever the value is here divided by 3 years. So I wanted this to happen because I wanted you to see that sometimes you could have decimals like this. And so what I do, there might be other ways you might want to take care of it, but I use the round. I use the round function, and then with number of digits to be 0, whether I write it or not, it's going to recognize that it's 0, and then hit my enter button and copy down. So I'm able to have this. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to appropriate this annual depreciation across these different years so that we know what exactly should be depreciated for the years. So I will need some extra column, alpha columns here. So what I want to do is achieve a reducing balance. What I want to do is that if this is the spend, I want it to reduce by this amount and for 3 years, and then it becomes 0. So let's see how that works. So here, I think I can do it just a column. So here, I'm going to enter the formula. This time I'm going to use the minimum, which is mean. And we're told that returns the smallest number in a set of values, ignores logical values, and test. Okay, so that being said, we're interested in the fact that it will return the smallest value in whatever number of values that we give to it. So value number 1, value number 2, value number how many, it's going to give us the smallest of the numbers. So we're going to tell it that you should give us this value. And so we're going to lock it to the column. Give us this value, the minimum of this value, or give us the total spend minus the sum of whatever we may have depreciated previously, whatever values that may have depreciated. That's why we needed this helper. We needed this helper column here. So first, for the spend, which is here, we need to lock to the column because we're going to be copying down here. So we need to lock it to this column. And that's why we have the $ behind the column ID. And then for this of the sum, we would lock the column too, because what we're doing here is we do not want it to shift beyond this. We don't want it to shift beyond this. So we want to lock this column here. So we lock that column too. So it's going to be the sum of this to F11 So even if I said F11 to F11, it's looking at this. Over time, it's going to do a cumulative sum because of this that I have done here. So it's very important. The first reference, you have it locked to the column, but the second reference for the cell is not locked, it's left like that. So whatever this sum is, we want to calculate it, and then we want it subtracted from the total spend. So that's it. So we're going to close it and hit our enter button. Now, so why is it returning? Why is it returning 247 for us? Let's find out from this formula. So let's do F9 here. So that's 247. Let's do this also. F9. That's 741. So 741 is the total spend. As at this time, we've not expended anything in depreciation. So the minimum value is 247. And so we hit the escape button and then we copy our formula down. So notice what has happened here. You see, it has taken our depreciation for 3 years, and then later we have zeros. So we could format this one with a comma and take out the zeros so it looks nice. So having achieved this, we would copy down, and there is what we have. So the reason why we have this is because of our rounding, because it's not it doesn't depreciate to the full number in 3 years, just a minimum left here. So that is why you have it for some of them. But that's negligible. We can understand what that is. And then the next thing you notice is that this Capex spend for 2021 should start in 2021. Should not start in 2020. So for this reason, we need a time flag. So the time flag is going to help us to determine when depreciation should commence. Time flag. So we're going to have a time flag here. I could just take this, the format, and paste it here. So we have that. So we're going to have a time flag here. And for this time flag, all I need to do is, this time around, I need not use an index here. I can just go to this and down, because I know these will change. Just in case this changes, this will also change. Like 2021. So that changes, this changes, and this should change also. So whatever it is. So here, I'm going to be finding out something with the if function. So we're going to say that if this is equal to this. So this, I'm going to lock it. I'm going to lock the row. But for this, I'm going to lock the column, because I want it to always be looking at the column here, and why this should be looking at the row here. So if they're equal, it should give me 1. Else, it should give me not 0, but it should give me the previous number, the value in the previous cell. So that's why this empty column here is very important. It helps us in coming up with a depreciation model. Okay, so here we have this, and I'm going to close it. And this, I'm not going to lock anything here because it will always be looking at the previous cell value. So I'm going to hit it and then take it down. So this is what you see happen. This is what you see happen. Okay, so let's format it to, so this is what you see happen. So you find out 2021, you have 1 here. 2022, you have 0 here. The 1 starts here, and just like that. So it builds this kind of, time flag that helps you do the depreciation. So all I need to do here is, for this mean, we just need to multiply it by this value here. That's it. So we have it here, come down, and then we have this. So you can see that we are able to achieve this depreciation here and this here, and just like that continues, and then we are able to have our depreciation model. So having done this, then we talk about the Capex expense category 2. So in this case, all we can do is just have some additional rows to accommodate a copy of this. So I'm going to just copy this, and then we'll make some adjustment to the formula. So this is what I get. And why do I get this? First, we're looking at the years here. So if you look at this place, you find out that it's A1 to A16. Certainly we don't have that, so it's ought to be A1 to A1. And then we can copy this down. And so that's fine. But here, for the spend, all what we need to do is, we were looking at category 1 here. We just drag down to category 2 expense, and then we hit our enter button and copy this down. So we copy this down. Then the useful life. So we're just going to equate that to the useful life here. And sorry, we ought to lock it. And so here it is locked and copied down. Yeah. So these are zeros, and that's because, our G65 is looking at a cell that is 0 here. So we're going to amend that. What we want it to be looking at should be this. So that way we effectively use the block. Okay. That way we effectively use the block, but this time we would update this to category 2. We'll update it to category 2, and there we are. There we are. So the beauty of this is that, they can be extended and updated. So just imagine we want to go a little further. Let's say you move up to this so you can see that it flows with us. it flows. So you can extend the date, put in any value here, and then all would work. So we take out unnecessary rows here, and here we are with our model. Here we are with our depreciation model. We've been able to have our schedule for Capex, and then we now have what we will depreciate every year. So what we depreciate every year is actually the sum of all of this. Make this bold. Let's give it this. And so that's it. So I can copy this and bring it here. And so there we are. Call this total, and same for this. Okay, so that's how we can come up with a depreciation model, easy. And okay, so once you've done it for the first time, you can extend it and it will just do according to what you want it to do. So I hope you learned something from here with regards to functions we use in financial modeling. And I want you to watch the video again and take note of how we use the sum product here as a lookup function, and how we use the mean function, which gives us the minimum number in a group of numbers, how we used it to achieve a reducing balance here. So anytime you have to do reducing balances, yes, you're going to need this function, and you're going to need it to achieve just that. There are many other areas we use it in financial modeling. For example, when we are doing taxation, income taxes, sometimes we have to compute based on reducing balances. And so the main function becomes very helpful there. So it's a function you want to learn and use in financial modeling. Thanks for watching. Have a nice time.